Julianne Pelusi here with Dan Kangursky on the platforms of Pittsburgh Hockey Now. First of all, Dan, it's really great to be here on the platform. Very excited to be joining you here online tonight. And also, we are going to be talking about Penguins GM Kyle Dubas talking to Dmitry Filipovich on the Hockey PDO cast. And he was talking about the moves that the Penguins have made this offseason. This is before we're going to talk about Silovs. We'll talk about that in just a moment here. But Filipovich brought up the idea of the Penguins leading toward a tank. And I know that there are fans that are leading toward this idea as well. And Dubas shut that down. Dan, what did he say?
Well, yeah, it was kind of interesting that he took sort of a question in one direction, and he went his own direction. He knew what he wanted to say, and there was little doubt he was going to go in that direction, saying he disagreed with their, what was the quote? "We are not trying to get worse." Now, Penguins fans might say, well, wait a second. What are you talking about? Because the free agent signings, Parker Wotherspoon, Caleb Jones, Justin Brazeau, a trade for a goaltender with an .861 save percentage last season. I mean, these are not guys who are going to come in and light the world on fire, or at least you don't expect them to. So really, it was interesting that Dubas was sort of drawing a line, maybe of hope, maybe that they see some things, or that they're going to have some higher expectations maybe than the rest of us. And he's not afraid to say it. But I still think the reality is they know they're not going to do much in 25, 26. I don't see how they could with sort of, let's call them second chance and right, diamond in the rough free agent signings. I suppose that's being maybe a little kind.
It's pretty kind.
Okay. It's a rarity for me, so I guess maybe you're bringing that out.
I like the euphemism. Now, they're going into this with the biggest skater they've signed so far is Anthony Mantha, and I kind of look at this as the Anthony Beauvillier type of let's flip this guy and see what kind of picks we can get from him. I mean, do you disagree? Do you think that he can end up helping out here?
Well, yeah, this is very much like an Anthony Beauvillier sort of move where here's a veteran on a one-year deal. It's a show me sort of deal, but not necessarily as much show me to the Penguins, but a show me to the rest of the league. So you get towards the NHL trade deadline, and if he plays well, I mean, 2 years ago, he was a 23-goal scorer with, actually, let's maybe segment it, 20 goals with the Washington Capitals. They flipped him to the Vegas Knights, where it really didn't go well. And he had like 3 goals in 19 games, and they put him in the press box. But in his 9 seasons, he's had some good ones. He's had 3 20-goal campaigns, and then he's had some real stinkers where he kind of regresses back to the 12 or 14. He tore his ACL early last November, so he hasn't played hockey, or he won't have played hockey for almost a year. The thinking with this one, obviously, he's 30 years old. He's not going to be around for when the Penguins are sustainably good again. So, yeah, he's $2.5 million with a couple $1 million in additional incentives. If he lands, then you flip him for a decent draft pick, prospect, or what have you. If he doesn't land, you've wasted $2.5 million of Fenway Sports Group's money. And, since it's not our money, what do we care?
Not our pig, not our farm, right?
Exactly.
Now, Dubas seems to think that some of these guys that they've picked up in free agency can be along for the ride once that rebuild finally comes to fruition. Do you agree with that?
It's going to be interesting because, I mean, he eschewed big name free agents in part because he thought by the time they were, by the time the team was ready, they would be on the decline. The free agents would be on the decline. Well, the free agents he signed are 27 years old, Justin Brazeau and so on and so forth, Wotherspoon. So you're like, well, wait a second. They're all 27, 28 years old. What's the difference between Brazeau and a more valuable free agent? And I suppose there really isn't, other than if you, let's just say, I think Brazeau, my personal 2 cents
Okay.
anyway, is that Brazeau has the best chance outside of Parker Witherspoon for earning a consistent role and breaking out of sort of his shadowy role that he had in Minnesota. So let's say he does that. Now you've got the option, because he probably won't have a lot of trade value, just be like a flash in the pan. So you keep him around for a few more years. And if he continues to, say, put up 15 goals, now he's a valuable, beefy third liner. And in a couple of years, then you can get something for him. Or, this mode of being impatient, maybe Dubas can turn it around faster than a lot of us think he can.
Mm-hmm.
He can turn it around within that Sidney Crosby window. And all of a sudden, a guy like Brazeau or Witherspoon is, in fact, part of their plans before that, mid-30s or even early 30s decline.
And Filipovic brought up the draft in this interview as well. And he mentioned that the skating, when you talk about their grades, that it's downgraded in this 2025 class. What does Dubas have to say about that? Does he think that the Penguins are going to be able to develop that strength in skating?
Yeah, that was really interesting. This was an idea that I picked up on in development camp, just kind of a stray comment from Dubas on, actually, yes, on July 1st, Dubas made a stray comment that they added 12% to Jona Koppanen's skating. And I was like, well, wait a second. What does all of that mean? So I got a bite at the apple with Director of Player Development, Tom Kostopoulos, who went a little bit more into detail, but he kind of obviously kept the big details secret. And the reality is, yes, the Penguins' performance department, which I think is new. I don't think they had a performance department, or at least one they ever referenced a few years ago. So they are really zoning in on improving players' skating, improving some skills, but sort of doing so not necessarily at practice, away from the practice and off the ice. Further adding to all of that was Dubas's comments with Filipovic, where they think they've identified player traits or physical traits that tell them when a player can improve his skating and when a player can't. Yeah, Will Horkoff, prime example there, Julianne. The knock on him, the reason he was graded in the mid-40s for the 2025 draft was because of his skating, right? He's a big guy. He's got good hands, but his skating was a bit lumbering. They've identified qualities or physical attributes that they think they can make him a much better skater. It's kind of interesting. I know they have all sorts of gizmos and gadgets and measuring devices they make players wear during some practices. I've seen them hanging there, and kind of looks like laser tag, if you will. And we actually even had to leave the rink during development camp so that they could set up different sensors and have guys skating and really measure things. That was a first for us as well. This is all part of, I think, the Penguins sort of revolutionizing or trying to revolutionize player development. And I think that it's not sexy, it's not fun to talk about, but it's probably as important as anything for these Penguins in the next several years.
And it makes sense. I mean, the game keeps evolving in a way that, you and I can't predict right now, but some GMs have their fingers on the pulse, and they're able to know before the rest of the league does. And when we're talking about this offseason as well, Arturs Silovs. Oh my God!
There you got it. Artie Silovs, yeah.
Arturs Silovs coming in here to the Penguins. Now, I really like this move for the Penguins because, I mean, this guy can show up when he needs to. I think that, he got the wheels beat off him last year. Yeah. but he's shown some promise against McDavid and Draisaitl. I mean, what more do you need?
I was just more impressed with you using the slang. Got the wheels beat off him. He did. He's in 10 games. You know, he had that amazing playoff run. I mean, he showed some weakness against Edmonton, but good Lord, great goalies showed weaknesses against Edmonton in the playoffs in the last several years. He enters last season with a chance to claim some NHL ice time. Obviously riding high from that amazing playoff performance, and he does get wrecked with an .861 save percentage in 10 games. But Dubas talking on that podcast, very specific. They love what he's done in the World Championships for Latvia. He does the same thing in the NHL playoffs. He carries the Abbotsford Canucks, Abbotsford.
There you go.
You got Silovs, I got Abbotsford. And he takes them to the Calder Cup. You know, they win the Calder Cup, and he was the MVP. So they see things they like. There is sort of a shadowy figure in the Penguins player development and scouting, John Elkins, who is their goalie guru, who has scouted several of these guys. And Elkins was the guy who sort of pounded the table for Gabriel Daigle, who they took in the third round, the 6'4" goalie from the Q. Also really liked Silovs, circled him last year. So when Vancouver realized they were going to lose him via waivers this fall, Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin, obviously both former Penguins GMs, picked up the phone, called the Penguins and said, hey, you got the opportunity for this kid. Fair price as a fourth rounder. What do you say? And the deal gets done. And now the Penguins have some questions about who will be the two goalies at the NHL level.
Yeah. Do you think Silovs will be able to get that chance? Do you think he kind of has that leg up coming in to this season?
I was curious after the trade, but after hearing Dubas's words, and there was one critical word that he used in that podcast. It was the same word he used to describe Philip Tomasino last year, and that was runway, talking about a player needing more runway. Vancouver couldn't give him, that ice time and the time in net. The Penguins can. Philip Tomasino comes in last year, maybe didn't necessarily play up to the level of a top six forward, playing alongside of Evgeny Malkin and so forth. But he got that opportunity for an extended period of time through the season to live up to that, to grow, to learn, to build before they finally, moved him down lower in the lineup. It looks like, based on Dubas's comments, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but when he uses the term runway, I'm thinking he's one of two NHL goalies. And what happens between Tristan Jarry and Yoel Blomqvist, now we've got an interesting conversation.
Dan Kingerski, reading into things so you don't have
what
to.
I do, right?
Thanks for joining us here on the platforms of Pittsburgh Hockey Now. We'll be back soon.